Oh, we gotta break this one down. My new mutual, Laura the Explorer, also did a video on that. I will link it down below, but I want to cover a few different points. First, let's look at the phrase, spare the rod, spoil the child. People love to pull this out as reasoning for spanking, but it just doesn't hold up. A lot of people think that this phrase comes from the King James Bible. It does not. But even if it did, it wouldn't encourage spanking. A rod in the Bible is also known as a staff, and staffs are used by shepherds to guide their sheep. Key word, guide. Shepherds did not beat their sheep with the staffs. And as far as I remember, Jesus spent a lot of time in the Bible with sheep, and you never caught him beating them either. So what we can glean from this incorrect information is that even if the Bible did say, spare the rod, spoil the child, it would mean spare gently guiding your child through a mistake, leave them at a disadvantage. But now to the actual source. The phrase actually comes from a 17th century poem by Samuel Butler called Hudibras, and please excuse me if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. The verse reads, "What medicine else can cure the fits of lovers when they lose their wits? Love is a boy by poets styled, then spare the rod and spoil the child." Now, not only is this verse meant to be satirical, it's also comparing a child to a love affair, and basically saying that spanking is a means to make a love affair stronger. So basically, if you don't hit your partner, your relationship will suffer, and by that I mean if a man doesn't hit a woman. However, as I and many sane adults point out, when you hit another adult, it's generally considered assault. But obviously, there is another form of spanking that adults enjoy. And sometimes when I tell people that I'm anti-spanking, they kind of look at me sideways, like, why are you trying to control what people are doing in the bedroom? And I'm not. If you and your partner are two consenting adults and that's your jam, spank away. But a child cannot consent. When an adult spanks a child, as opposed to an adult spanking another adult that they know gets off on spanking, the adult knows that the child isn't going to enjoy it. And if you're disturbed by the idea that something sexual like spanking is being used on children, oh, just wait, we're gonna get deeper. As it turns out, historically, way before this poem was written, spanking was used as a pagan fertility rite. And throughout history, spanking has been associated with erotica, and the adults doing it are generally aware of that. So then we have to beg the question, why would an adult punish a child in a fashion that in every other sense is seen as sexual? Like, unless an adult is very sheltered, they're aware that spanking is used, to turn people on. In fact, they might themselves use it or have it used on them to turn them on, and then they turn around and do it to their child? Like, what? I've covered how spanking in any form and to any degree of violence can be stored in a child's brain as sexual assault. And I will say, I don't think that this link is the reason, because the child does not see spanking as a potentially sexual act, but it is an interesting thing to ponder. But let's move on from the source of the phrase and get to the rest of the comment. My kids get whoopings and they still go back to doing the same things. They ain't scared of me. Interesting. Because the reason people usually give for spanking is that nothing else works. They have no other choice. The kid won't listen to anything else. It's the only way to get the message across. But clearly, Diane here is telling that spanking does none of that for her kids. She hits her kids and the kids keep up the same behavior. So where's the logic? What would be the point of hitting? Since Diane keeps hitting them, it's making me start to think that the hitting is for Diane's benefit. Diane gets mad at her child's behavior. She gets a little out of control. She doesn't know what to do. And so she takes it out on someone who can't possibly understand what is happening, or if they're old enough to understand what is happening, would be better suited having a conversation about why what they're doing shouldn't be done. Because when you hit your kid, the only thing that they're going to understand is that mommy or daddy is hurting them. Nothing else gets through because you're causing them pain and fear.